so I want to introduce our experts. Let's see, we've got Christine and Boaz who need to come back on. They'll be on in a minute. But let's start with Randy Scythe. Hi, Randy. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you, Melissa? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Tell us about Randy Scythe Design and what you do for your clients.
So for over 3 decades, I've been in fashion industry doing design and merchandising from concept through execution, really the entire creative process. And after working with so many brands, I found that the last few years, my passion is helping brands find their purpose and to align companies' purpose
my internet, I'm having trouble with my internet. I am so sorry.
Okay.
It's free.
Okay, I'll just, while we wait for Melissa to come back. So to align companies' purpose with their design and branding. And in doing so, it's a win-win for everybody.
Okay, I think, sorry, it had to reboot or something. So sorry about that, everybody. A little crazy to get this one started. Okay, so I know luckily Randy just gave an introduction. I'm sorry I missed it. How about Boaz, you want to jump in and introduce you and your business?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Boaz David. I am the owner of Human Bee. I've been in the fashion industry for about 25 years, probably more than 25 years now, mostly in design, development, and production. I've been in your shoes, most of the attendants here. I've been in your shoes. I had my fashion brand. I had that experience. And after I had that brand, I started Human Bee. And what we do is we offer design, development, and production services for fashion brands. We work from brands all the way from startups and all the way to established brands. And basically our mission is to take this whole load of dealing with production, dealing with factories, dealing with sourcing off your shoulder and to our shoulders and give you time to do what you and only you can do. We're based in New York. We work with factories domestically, offshore. We last couple of years went deeply into the sustainable space, and I'm here to answer questions and hopefully help anybody who needs help.
Wonderful. Boaz is such a great resource, especially for if you're based in New York City and you need to get some manufacturing done. Christine Dahl is here from Fashion Angel Warrior, and she's also a wonderful New York City resource, and she does really great tours of the garment industry back before COVID and hopefully again soon. How are you doing, Christine?
Hi, Melissa. Good. How are you?
Great.
So hi, everyone. I'm Christine Dahl, the founder and CEO of Fashion Angel Warrior. We are a fashion and marketing consulting agency working with both startup and established designers pretty much every step of the way to help them start and grow profitable businesses. And we do this through one-on-one coaching, online courses, group coaching, project management, digital management, and virtual manufacturing tours now. So we have taken them virtually, which is awesome. And we really help our clients in every area from social media and branding, design, development, tech packs, sourcing fabrics and manufacturers, crowdfunding, costing, production, PR, celebs, influencer marketing, Instagram management, social media advertising. We really try to be a one-stop shop for fashion designers.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us. And I know you actually participated in one of Texworld's part of the education series, didn't you?
Yes. Yesterday we had a whole seminar on how to bounce back from COVID, which went really well.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, I hope everybody is enjoying the Texworld platform. Definitely give them a lot of feedback, because this is something that everybody's experimenting with, but I think is, hopefully it's something that we can continue in the future, even when we finally get to go back to live. So I want to introduce some Fashion Mingle members that are on today, and we're so grateful that they've joined us. Hi, Keisha Greaves. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well, and yourself?
Great. I love those glasses. You look so stylish.
Thank you.
Tell us about your business.
Sure. As Melissa mentioned, I am Keisha. I'm the CEO and founder of Girls Chronically Rock clothing brand. I started that in 2017 to help inspire and motivate others within the disability community, because I myself live with muscular dystrophy, but I always had a passion for fashion. So I'm just looking to build my Girls Chronically Rock empire and just looking to network and collaborate. And I'm in the process of producing an adaptive, accessible swimwear collection for people with disabilities for Girls Chronically Rock.
Fantastic. That sounds like such an important mission. We really appreciate you focusing on that area. Need a lot more support for that in the fashion industry.
Yes.
And Tamika Ramsay, how are you today?
I am ecstatic to be here. Hi, everyone. As you mentioned, I am Tamika Ramsay out of Atlanta, Georgia. I have a business which is called SAS. That stands for Saved Anointed Stylish Sister. That's me. And I just love fashion. I come from a long lineage of fashion. Kind of different from everyone else because I was one that was in corporate America for many years. Actually have another business, which is a financial firm. And I've also always believed that you should bring fashion to the boardroom, which we don't see a lot. We feel like it's male dominated, so you have to kind of be a bit bland. So that was pretty much my introduction to dealing with others. And now I've been blessed to build a following. So I've been doing this on the fashion side for a little under 10 years. I deal with a lot of dignitaries and entertainers in the area, but my passion is assisting the everyday woman or male.
Well, I know that Atlanta is a hotbed for the fashion industry, and we really appreciate you joining us today. And also, I mean, the fact that you have a financial background is, that's certainly something rare for people in the fashion industry. So we appreciate any insight you have in that area that can help us too. And we also have Kimberly Pucci, who is a handbag designer. Hi, Kimberly, how are you doing? Oh, unmute yourself.
Sorry, I did just unmute myself. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Kimberly Pucci. I am the founder and creative director of Kimberly Pucci Atelier and Vault. And I am a luxury goods designer. So I started out actually in the industry in Florence, Italy over 25 years ago. And I continue to work in Italy in both jewelry and now a newly released luxury goods line, which is composed of about 18 different handbag designs, all sustainably crafted and sourced in Tuscany and made for the American market. And it's really great to be here and be part of this today.
Well, and we enjoyed having Kimberly as a part of Times Square Fashion Week last September. Her bags are absolutely gorgeous, and she got photos in Times Square and got to present them on our little mini runway. So we appreciated you participating in that, and also got to be on the billboards in Times Square.
Yes, I did.
As well as Dell Noel, owner of True Model Management. She also helped us during Times Square Fashion Week. Thanks for joining us, Dell.
Thanks for having me, Melissa. I love being part of Fashion Mingle. And so let everyone know, I just said I'm the founder and CEO of True Model Management, and we're based here in New York, but we work around the world representing models of all sizes, shapes, ethnicities. Since the beginning, we've been all inclusive. So we're glad that the rest of the world is starting to do that. Keisha, I definitely want to talk to you because we have a couple of clients that could be good for you. And my passion is connecting people. I teach at FIT also, and I'm a consultant for 3D tech. If anyone needs a body scanning machine, we have a body scanner West 37th Street, and we're also working different collaborations, everyone in the industry, all the creatives. We have office space and studio space that we're sharing and putting together different activations. And also, I don't know if Dee's on this right now, but Dee Rivera from DCG Media Group, we are collaborating to start having pop-up events for virtual and live events so people can create content for social media. So anything you want to do, I've got some ideas. We're up for collaboration, so let us know.
Wonderful. Well, okay, so now that we have, I think most everybody has arrived to the webinar, so I just wanted to reiterate, if you would like to ask a question directly to the panel, please click your hand icon and turn on your video, and I will bring you over so that we can have a discussion. But you're also welcome to put your question in the chat. So we'll get started now. So let's, for the thing I hear from our members the most is they usually want information on small batch manufacturing because, you know, new designers, small designers, and then of course designers who are very concerned about sustainability and having, you know, like a low carbon footprint. They like to also work with, manufacturers that are close to home or in the United States. And so, Christine, can you give us a rundown? Because I know you have done tours of manufacturers in the garment district. You've also, you do it out in LA. And I think you're also in Dallas a lot as well, aren't you?
We primarily do the tours in New York City, LA, and Miami.
Oh, Miami. Okay.
Yes.
And so tell us about what you've seen about the manufacturing resources that are out in the United States that are available.
Yeah, definitely. So there are a ton of manufacturers in the United States still. And there's been a resurgence of more of them trying to come back. Of course, COVID hasn't helped things, and some of them they've been going out of business, unfortunately. But you can still make stuff in the United States. Obviously, we do have minimum wage laws, and so labor prices tend to be higher. But the plus is that the minimums tend to be lower. So a lot of people like to produce in the United States because there's very low minimums. I work with a lot of factories that have only 50-piece minimum per style. Some of them have 100, max would be 300, I would say, within the United States. And some of them have no minimums. They're literally on demand. You can literally sell one and make one and sell one and make one and do it that way. So there are a lot of advantages to producing in the US, and low minimums is definitely one of them. So a lot of them are located, of course, in the big cities, in New York City, LA, Miami, Dallas, Chicago. I would say those are the 5 areas, but we have manufacturers all over in little places like Alabama and Massachusetts and North Carolina. So there's probably one closer to you than you think. And we can definitely help you introduce them to you. We have vetted them. We've worked with them. We make them go through our vetting process to make sure that they're, you know, used to working with small startups, that they're not going to try to take advantage of you, that the quality is good, et cetera. So we can definitely help you in that area. And we do have a virtual manufacturing tour coming up in March.
Oh, very cool. Well, that's really encouraging to know. I didn't even realize that the whole production on the demand thing was actually so advanced in the United States. That's great to know that's available. Boaz, now I know that you have, you started out, of course, Christine did as well, as a fashion designer in the industry. And you've worked with a lot of different designers at all different kinds of levels, but you've actually dealt a lot with international production as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we currently do domestic. Actually, when I started, it was really mostly domestic, and we're trying to really keep things domestically here. But there are limitations to domestic manufacturing. Not to sound like, there's no opportunities, but because let me say that 25 years ago when I came to New York, you walk in the garment center and you walked into buildings and there were factories, floors filled with factories, tons of product was made here. Unfortunately, overseas factories took over, and there's some product categories, especially in specific price point with specific technical knowledge that moved overseas. So we had to adapt and develop resources overseas as well. But currently, we still do quite nice volume here in the US, as well as producing overseas.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And of course, there's, I guess if you're going overseas, you really need to have a large production quantity.
So,
or can you still do small batch overseas?
Here's the thing, a lot have changed. It used to be really that you had to go thousands of pieces and do overseas. The reality is you can do smaller batches overseas. I mean, we have factories in India who hand loom their fabrics and they can do 50 pieces if needed. There are things that has to be considered when you do that. There's the shipping, there's the time, there's other things, fabrications that can be considered, but generally speaking, you can do smaller batches overseas as well nowadays. When we work with brands, it's not necessarily that we think overseas or domestically. We look at the product, at the business from a holistic point of view, and we try to think of what would be the best match for them. It could be domestically, it could be overseas, it could be closer here that's still considered overseas, but it's really, Dominican Republic, for example, is a place that we do a lot of production with. So when we look into a product, into a business, there's other component that we have to think of, mainly really the business model and what the brand is trying to do, where they position themselves in the market, and then, apply to that the right supply chain, the right manufacturing resources. So there's a lot of opportunities to do things here and offshore, small or big.
That's great to know. I'm sure that there's just so much transition going on in the industry now. Everybody's willing to do just about anything, huh?
Which is good and bad, but yeah, there are. I think one of the things is that factories, by the way, domestically and offshore, are realizing that they do need to start looking at smaller brands with, a little bit more attention. It used to be that they had the bigger brands and they had business, so smaller brands, especially offshore, were not taken so seriously. Things have shifted, and there's more attention to smaller brands, and they're trying to be more accommodating. That's for sure.
Okay, gotcha. So Randy, now you are in a unique position. You have all of this background in helping designers and brands get their manufacturing set up, but you actually have a brand that you're launching with a partner this year, right?
Yes. So this was, it's a women's athleisure brand. And this actually was part of what I was saying before about aligning a brand with purpose and having it exist giving it more of a reason to exist rather than just another clothing brand or just another brand and with a product offering. Especially now, I think after COVID, there's consumers are just more conscious of everything, and people will be spending less, but maybe on better. But certainly they will want to accumulate less. I think we're all taking stock of how much extra stuff we have, and this kind of ties and aligns into the whole sustainability aspect of why we have so much stuff. Why do we need so much stuff? I think everybody knows we don't anymore. And so when I met this brand, it's a women's sport brand around the sport of polo, inspired by the sport of polo, but it's for on and off the field. And in researching everything, this is before I became a partner in it. I just felt like the brand needed a higher purpose, which is my passion of helping brands align with a purpose and giving them more of a reason to be. And so we besides designing and merchandising the brand and coming up with the offering, we're aligning the brand with giving back and having social impact through equine therapy. So this directly ties into the branding because horses, and it also does good for society and makes the world a better place. And we'll also get involved in horse after the horses are retired, they need to be rescued and taken care of, and we'll be able to contribute to that too. So yes, there's the whole designing and merchandising and branding piece of the actual collection and the messaging that goes along with that and the brand voice, and everything is connected, which is how I like to work, where design and marketing are connected and work together in a 360-degree approach. So every single touch point and every single thing is connected. And so we're launching this year, yes, but it's so much more than, it's become so much more than a clothing collection for me. It's become a mission to help empower women, because it's a women's brand in the sport of polo, which is not really that popular right now. It's more of a, you think men when you think polo. And we're also helping through equine therapy and helping all those people with their problems. And so it's a beautiful win-win. We'll have this beautiful collection, which people can enjoy, but also besides the people wearing the clothes, we're also giving a bigger purpose by helping these other organizations.
Yeah, that's certainly becoming a very popular trend. Obviously, Keisha, you have that as well as a part of your brand. Keisha, have you actually started working on the production side, or is your business still in the concept phase?
I actually had started working on the production side, so I am super excited. I'm working with a manufacturer out of Canada, so I was so excited when somebody in the chat just mentioned they were a manufacturer in New York, because I'm like, I'm in Boston, Mass, so but at least New York is a lot closer. So yes, the production has started. I have some prototypes, some test samples, and I am super excited. I did a survey and everything with conducting, my target market, people in the disability community living with muscular dystrophy, and there is a need of adaptive swimwear. So I am excited. I'm hoping to get this launched by March of this year, 2021. So fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, keep us informed.
Yes.
So I want to bring in Kimberly, because you actually work on the accessory side of the business. Because you source all your leathers from Italy, is that correct?
Yes. So I actually hand select all of my leathers as well as accessories, not just in Italy right now. I've actually honed in on Tuscany because I feel like I have a little more control of who is producing, how they're producing, how the tanneries are working. And then my factory is also in Tuscany. So when I finally get there, although we're working fine by Zoom currently, as well as WhatsApp, when I do get there, I stay within the same region. And so I can really move back and forth freely. I also speak fluent Italian, as I started out in luxury in Florence over 25 years ago.
Okay, that's amazing. So, obviously you've got that connection, and I know, Randy, you also source in Italy. How, if somebody wants to source fabrics, or textiles in another country, how do you go about that? Kimberly or Randy?
So as far as leather is concerned, right before COVID hit, there's usually a great number of markets that happen kind of prior to one of the fashion weeks. So for example, late January of 2020, early February, there was a beautiful show in Soho in New York City that I frequent, and I was supposed to go to Mingle in Milan, and that's kind of when everything kind of started going on. But I would say some of the better companies do come to the United States. at the same time, more or less the same time of year, you'll also find other fabric companies coming in, although there are reps in New York City and Los Angeles for that matter, and I'm sure Miami as well, that work with Italian manufacturers on both the textiles and leather side.
For,
So,
for
and of
leather
course,
specifically,
go ahead,
sorry,
Randy.
I was saying for leather specifically, there's a trade show, which might be the one you were referring to, Linea Pelle.
Yes.
And so that, obviously we're not having that this year in person, but they are doing it digitally. I think it's coming up this month, over the next few weeks. So it's Linea Pelle, and there'll be a lot of Italian leather suppliers there and tanneries, and they also give some webinars at that show as well to understand the process, and they're really getting into the whole sustainable aspect of crafting the leather, which is nice. So that side of the industry is now also coming into the sustainable practices. So Linea Pelle is a good one. And then a lot of the trend services also will report on specific shows that they go to around the world, and you can always get vendor information from them. But I have a lot of leather contacts also. If you want to email me, whoever asked that question, I'm happy to share some tanneries with you.
And Christine, I know you've been working with Texworld for many years, and you actually, when Texworld was, open to the public, you did tours there as well. So for people, I guess, are there trade shows like all across the United States, or as a designer, do you need to get to a major city in order to do that hands-on sourcing when we don't have COVID?
Yeah, so there are a lot of trade shows all across the US. I would say that majority of them are in the major cities. So New York, Miami, Dallas, Chicago, LA, San Fran are the ones that I can think off the top of my head. And they're great. A lot of them are doing virtual shows still, so you can still attend even though it's not in person. I know it's not the same, but keep in mind, guys, too, that all fabric places, all fabric vendors have, sometimes they have their own website. They have a virtual library online. A lot of print houses have all their prints online that you can look at. You can always set up a virtual meeting with someone. They're going to be in their showroom. They can show you things. They can send you swatches. I know it's not as great as being there, touching it and feeling it and that sort of thing, but it also will force you as a designer to be really specific about what you're looking for. So I recommend going and finding a garment that is the type of fabric you're looking for. And that way you can tell them this is the fiber content. Hopefully you know the weight, or you can kind of give them the weight, or you can literally cut up the garment into small swatches, send it to a bunch of fabric vendors and see if they can source it or if they have something similar, and do your fabric sourcing that way.
Very, very interesting. I want to bring in Tamika because you want to ask a question about the different kinds of services that manufacturers provide.
Yes. So for a few of my clients, I've actually designed a few pieces for them. And we want their pieces, of course, to be as unique as possible. So are there any specific vendors that you use that are able to create specific patterns? Like if I had a certain pattern that I wanted designed, are there any specific vendors that you can recommend to be able to provide that service?
Tamika, when you say I was just going to ask, when you say pattern, do you mean a print design or a physical pattern of a garment?
A print design. If I had a specific print design in mind, do you have a vendor that can provide that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of print studios, especially in New York City. There's also a lot in LA that can do custom design prints. I usually tell my designers, make sure you can afford it first, because a lot of times it does get pretty costly to digitally print something, or if you're going to even consider screen printing, sublimation printing can be a little bit more affordable. But it definitely gets costly. And so if your print is not anything so crazy unique, right? I had somebody tell me they wanted a snake skin. Okay, there's plenty of snake skins out in the market that you can just buy an open line print. I'm sure you could find something. And keep in mind that even a lot of fabric vendors, if they have available open line prints, they may be able to change the colorway on a print or tweak it a little bit just for you if you're willing to buy a certain number of yardage. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to get custom prints done for sure.
Okay.
The fabrics that you're looking to print on?
I'm sorry?
What are the fabrics that you're looking to print on? What are the, do you have an idea?
It just varies depending on the client. You know, some of course have been interested in, you know, the jacquard, the brocade. It just depends. Like for some of the dignitaries, they tend to wear the very elaborate hats. Of course, you know, you think derby type hats. So they always want an outfit that's going to reflect that particular hat. And even in terms of designing their hats, sometimes, you know, you may need just something that's going to stand out a bit more than the average person.
So are you creating custom-made products for them? Is that?
I have
do that?
actually, well, I've actually designed a few pieces for them. And of course we've had, you know, someone that was able to produce that. And the fabric, they love the fabric, so that's fine. But I just thinking in terms of future projects, I want to be able to provide even more versatile pieces for clients. And some of them, they're like, I want you to really think out of the box on this one. So, you know, I want to be able to provide that, especially for some of the entertainers. Sometimes, you know, they want custom blazers and what have you. So they're looking for pieces that you typically wouldn't ordinarily find in materials.
Yeah. Most of the digital printing places will have their own fabrics that they will provide as well, mostly because it's a lot easier for them to get the results as far as colors and prints if they know the fabrics. Okay. So, you know, there's few of them. If you even Google online, you'll find them, but I'm sure we can provide you with some of these resources. And then you can have the fabrics that they use and offer this as options for your customers. This way, quite frankly, it will be a lot easier if you're making one at a time or small batches, because if you go and print, especially if it's digital printing, sometimes it's, you know, getting to the right colors take a couple of tries. If the printer knows the fabrics that they're printing on and it's fabric that they used before and treated already, many times they can get to that result that you want a lot easier.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
There's a lot of mills out of in Europe that have beautiful prints as part of their collections seasonally. Mm-hmm. And the advantage of working with a European mill is their minimums are a lot lower than working with a mill in Asia usually. And very often they'll have sampling on hand. So if you're just making like a one of a kind, or you just need enough yardage to make a few pieces, that might be a good way to go. And their prints, they might be able to just alter a colorway for you, and that way you're not having to pay for screens, and you're not having to pay these huge minimums to make a whole run of a print. And there are showrooms that carry that rep a lot of these mills, and you can see what they have, and seeing a print visually on screen is very easy to get the aesthetic of what it looks like. And then of course, you know, they can mail you swatches and so forth for the next step if that's what you want. So you can check the hand feel and the weight and the fabric itself. But for the prints, this print specifically, that might be a good way for you to look into.
Okay, I like that. Thank you all.
Wonderful. And thank you to everybody who's putting such great resources in the chat box. You know, if you know of a service or you are a service, feel free to share. Let's see, Madeline, she's got some questions. Hi, Madeline, how are you?
Hi, Melissa. Good to see you again.
Yes. Now you have questions about body scanners, and I know Dell has a body scanner. So well, maybe you should ask her.
Sure. I mean, I heard someone speaking about body scanners, but I didn't see image of I didn't see Angela on his face on my screen. So I wasn't sure. Hi, Angela.
I'm trying to like get to, I don't know how to do the video. Am I on a video yet?
Yes, you are. I can see you now.
Good. You're good. Madeline's
Yeah.
got a question about body scanners.
What I need are just the handprint scanned such that it shows, the individual. So it looks like the individual specific hand, like my crooked fingers here, that would come out, my hand's not beautiful, but it's mine. And so I want to know if something like this, I'm trying to get it on the screen, just like that, can a body scanner give me that specific image as unbeautiful as it is? One at a time because what I want are these hand images turned into flock that then gets adhered to a pillowcase.
So I guess it depends what detail you need of the hand. The actual scanner that I have in our office, I don't think would be the best one for that, but there are definitely scanners out there and 3D printers that might be able to do that. I can help you find the right resource.
That'd be great.
Ours is best for full bodies. Right. And some people say, oh, I'm only doing, jeans or something. I only want the bottom, and they'll cut it in half. But pretty much it's like meant for the body. But if you want to send me a message in the chat box, I could send you my email and I can send some.
Okay.
Check.
Okay.
Do designers use your body scanners to help them in the production process?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you could do everything from just having like the silhouette or image, or very simple and like using it for lookbooks. But the scanners, they also use 3D and 4D to create patterns right on there. We can scan the fabric so that you can see how the garments drape on the avatar and compare it to the body. There are algorithms and different ways that we can tailor and create for you to find your average body of your consumer, so you can create a auto-generated, by computer generated one and not actually scanning a body. There are many different applications for it, and it's used on e-commerce as well. So you save a lot of samples, and you also can help in size prediction and determining many aspects of the garment to help streamline and save money and be more efficient.
Wonderful. And also, just to let you know, I noticed Audrey Weaver asked you about fit and print models, which I know you work with. So she might have a question for you on chat. Okay. Angela, what's your question for the panel? Take yourself off mute.
Okay, I did. Hi, everyone. My name's Angela Casey, and I'm actually about to, I'm giving myself 12 months to launch a youth brand. So my youth brand is, I just want to give you a back end so you can answer the question. Is that okay? Is that okay?
No, go ahead.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So my youth brand is an elevated youth brand, which is competing against like Undefeated, Golf, and some of the Stussy limited edition kind of stuff, right? So it's also a label which is kind of like a give back label too. So a proportion of the sales goes to homeless youth and at-risk youth and college students that are homeless. It's combined with the sports culture. So basketball, soccer, which is football in this country, and I guess like tennis, depending on the child, right? So my market target is basically, I would say 10 years to 18. So I have really identified the whole youth brand that I'm doing is basically kind of like, it's based on the elements of gaming, youth culture, manga, Japanese illustrations, cultural anime, okay? Just to give you a headshot. Then what I want to do is, because it's an elevated brand, which is competing with, say, a $300 jacket for a kid that's 12, which does happen in LA because I'm in LA, that basically I want to work with a Korean manufacturer. And David, you mentioned that you have worked with, and other people have mentioned that they've worked with overseas people. What I've noticed in LA is there's incredible uplifting of Korean designers that are coming in and getting shop fronts here in the very cool areas. And I can't believe their quality and I can't believe their price point. And I did try and reach out to a brand that is called Livr, which is Livr. I think that's, no, LVIR, sorry. I think that's, or LIRV, I don't know. Anyway, it's a funny little brand, but it's owned by a Korean outright. They came into the market 2.5 years ago into LA. They basically got such high quality. Their price point is a lot higher than some of the other Korean people that have come into the market that are owner makers. That company particularly, I spoke to the guys that work there. They do have their own factory. It's owned by one man and his wife, and they're basically designing everything and then they bring it into the States. So what I want to do is I really do want to make a contact with Korea. I know that sounds very anti-American, but I am interested in America, but I can't get that finish. I can't get that high-end quality, that an elevated street brand of youth culture, which is basically, you saw the photo, that's actually my son. He's 13. And I guess the whole label, I have 3 sons, the whole label is inspired by his interpretation of youth culture and street culture. And it's pretty much out of this world. Like he bought for his birthday at 13, he was like, I want to spend $500 on clothing, Mum. And I want this brand, it's called Golf. And it's like a bloody sweatshirt with, Christ, a bit of embroidery, which looks cool. Yeah, on him, he's 13. But hey, it was $225. And I was like, whoa, okay. So there's a market there that I want to work in. I'm a textile designer originally. I worked for John Caldor. I was like very experienced, 25 years in the industry. And I'm basically doing my own thing, kind of going for it. I've got 12 months to get my shit together. Sorry, the language. I'm Australian, but I've lived here permanently for 13 years. And I do love American manufacturing, but I just want to do something a little bit elevated, but at a great price point. Okay, there you go. Peace.
So do you have a question for Boaz, Christine, or Randy?
Anyone that wants to jump in. I think David mentioned that he's worked with overseas people pretty at a higher level. Maybe the thing is, obviously, I can't afford production being like 5,000 units. You know, you've got to be kidding me. So I'm looking at doing something. You know, come on, let's just do 100 pieces per style. Like that's pretty small. But I want to get that quality.
I can jump in here for a little bit. For not a lot of, for the type of quantity like 100 pieces, that's going to limit you, but there are factories that will do that. And I will say that I disagree with one thing you said. I think you can get wonderful quality here in the US, but you have to know what to ask the factory. You have to set the standard for them. Not every factory is going to be able to work up to the standards that you want. So it's a matter of finding the right match, but there are factories here that do excellent quality and high-end quality. You know, if you want to email me separately or something, we can chat about that. But
be great.
There are factories here. There are also lots of factories in Europe that will do low minimums that might be easier than, let's say, a Korean factory. Are you, my question for you is, are you like limiting yourself to Korea just because this label was Korean?
No, there's many labels that have come into LA market in the last year that I've watched because my son's very involved with the street culture, even though he lives in a very white suburb, but he's very involved and influenced by that, unfortunately. Oh, well, unfortunately, it's great. I love that fashion. You know, it's awesome. It's colorful. It's bringing children out of their boxes. It's breaking away from the traditional norms of a surf brand. I absolutely love it. I celebrate creativity and art. So a lot of it will bring art and things into it. So, but my question, I said, you know, you said to me, yes, there are some great people here that are doing high quality, but I just can't believe the retail price point of these Korean companies.
The labor price is higher here. You know, I mean, I've spent about 10 years going back and forth to Korea. So I've worked in Korea a lot. And, you know, among other countries too, but it's not about picking the country that you want to work in. It's about who's going to be able to give you what you need. Well,
for me,
price and factory and, you know, from all different sides of it. It's looking at it as a whole and not just where the manufacturing will be.
But for me, I can't work with China. That's the big deal. So I won't work with them as a human rights thing. I just won't. It's just, I'm starting out sustainability as a footprint for my company. I'm trying to very much consider that. I want to work with lensing. Obviously, eventually, hopefully, I'll be able to be influencing, you know, because my volumes will increase that much, that I'll be able to actually help and provide a platform for, this is an example of, you know, full circle circularity in the youth brand, because youth culture, surfing, all that, it's high made in China. It's a price point based thing. It's kind of a bit of a nightmare, really, when you look at sustainability. So I won't work with China, but I don't know much about Korea's environmental policies. I heard they were sort of a bit better. Obviously, I obviously not, you know, there's obviously problems in Korea too with human rights. But obviously America, sure, I want to work with American people, but I thought I wouldn't be able to get the price point that I know is kind of affordable for parents that have a 13-year-old who wants to buy something which is really cool and marketed well and into their stream, that I wanted to sort of offer a bit more value. And when I look at the quality that these companies bring into America and sell for $98, and it's insane, like the level of I mean, are they just really producing it like thousands and tens of thousands of units? I mean, I don't know. They seem to be changing their content so often and their ranges so often. And I'm blown away. I just don't know. Is it just because they're working with child labor? I really don't know. Because obviously the last time I worked with Korea was when I was working for Charles Parsons, and that was like bloody an eon ago. You know, let's just talk real. It's like 12 years ago. So, you know, there.
Angela.
Like, thought about working with Italy?
Yes, I actually made a contact today on the previous website that she's a maker. She could work with me to do my own designs and textile prints onto my own fabric and manufacture for me. She's just one contact that I've made. I do love Italian manufacture, obviously Italian products. I've been to Italy a few times. I can see there's a huge potential there.
It's something that might be helpful.
Portugal has also some low minimums. And there's some great factories there that are set up with sustainable practices and methods, and that's all part of their marketing also, and that then can be part of your marketing, that you're working with sustainable factories.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. But I'd love to, Randy, I'd love to get your email and obviously, you know, have another private chat sometime. And Kimberly, like obviously you're in Italy all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
Angela, look in the
Angela,
chat because I know that several people have left their email. We've only
Angela, I just want to,
left.
can I just add one thing?
Yes.
Angela, there are different places around the world that you can do the things that you're looking for, the price point that you want with a sustainable way. If you want to reach out to me, I don't want to take too much time here. If you want to reach out to me, we work with some factors that, from what you're describing, fit exactly what you're looking for. Low minimum, sustainably done, ethically done, with certification and everything built into it, without breaking your bank. So I'll put the information.
Okay.
And you reach out.
No, that's great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I didn't mean to dominate the end of that call. I really, I just appreciate this. Is amazing. Like, you guys are all incredible mentors for me, and I'm really appreciative. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Thank you for joining.
Texworld platform is just so fantastic. This is so much better than going in person in New York. I mean, my goodness.
I would like to finish up by talking about budgets with Boaz, Christine, and Randy, because I think that, you know, I mean, as designers, I mean, everybody is focused on their creativity. They have their own vision for their brand, but what it actually costs to launch a brand and to get that inventory is something that, you know, it's just this thing that people just don't know. So can, Boaz, I want to start with you. Can you give us some advice on how to financially prepare to launch a brand?
Rob a bank. That's the answer. No,
okay,
but
that's fine. Let's make
that's easy enough, right? The short and really the answer to this is I would say that I think that for the most part, a lot of people think about production part, think about one or two parts of their business. But the thing about the industry that we're in and the product that we're making in this industry is that it's a product that is done from scratch. as a designer, you're picking up raw materials and create your own product. There's a process of developing the product, there's a process of producing the product, and then there's the whole business part of marketing and being in front of your customers and building all of that. And there's two components when it comes to budget. For what I've seen, many designers are failing to see or understand until they're actually in it. First of all, I would highly recommend to do your business plan, or at least financial plan, and to understand what you're going into before you spend a dime or a minute on your product. Because the number of times that I've seen designers, especially if you don't have enough experience in the industry, going into the experience, developing product, and then finding themselves without money to continue is enormous. And the reality is, it takes time to develop and produce products. And how it impacts your budget, it impacts your cash flow, because there's a long time, a gap of a long time from the time that you decide to start working on your product until you actually sell it and have money from it on your hands. And that period of time is where most small businesses in general, but especially in our industry, are crashing, because it's hard to maintain that. It's hard to sponsor. All of it is being sponsored by you as a brand. So, I can't give numbers because it's very individual to your business model and what you're looking to do. What I do more personally with brands is I work with them, and every brand that we work with, the first thing that we do is actually figure out what are they looking expenses-wise for the first 2 years. And what I would recommend for any brand, anybody who's thinking about it, anybody who's in it now, is to plan their financial situation or, view for the next 2 years, to really understand how much money they're going to need along the way and when they need this money. And not just for production, but for promotion, for marketing, for their website, for everything else that goes into the business. And the only other thing that I would say is, whatever you normally think it is, it's probably going to be more.
Yeah, I always say that about marketing. It's
Pretty
always
much.
so much more money and so much longer than you can imagine.
Well, the thing is also that, in my opinion, when you do that, you can then look at that plan and decide what you want to spend money on and what you don't want to spend money, where you can adjust, where you can squeeze, where you can use some more, available resources that you have. But generally talking about the financial part, the one thing that I would say is really pay attention to this, do some homework about it before you go and start your brand or invest money in it.
Yeah, that's good advice. Christine, what's your advice?
Yeah, so I do agree with Boaz. It is hard to give a number, but I know everybody wants a number at the end of the day. I've seen brands start with as little as $5,000. I've seen brands start with $30,000, $50,000. I've seen brands start with $250,000. It really comes down to a lot of different variables. I would say the first one is, what's your market segment and price point? If you're doing something couture where you're making $20,000 wedding gowns, definitely going to cost you a lot more to get started than it is if you're doing a t-shirt and you're buying blanks and you're just screen printing on them. So that take into consideration what kind of market segment you're doing, what's the product. Also, what's your channel of distribution? Obviously, it's way cheaper to start your own e-commerce store than to open up a brick and mortar store, for instance. So that's going to depend on your budget. And then the big one is usually your weaknesses and your strengths. And if you don't have a fashion background, if you can't make your own samples and kind of get away in the beginning with at least doing a little bit of pattern making and sample making yourself, if you don't have a business background, if you don't have a digital marketing background, and I mean digital marketing, not traditional marketing, they are very, very different. And if you're trying to start an e-commerce store, you need digital marketing experience. It's really going to depend on, can you do things yourself, or do you have to outsource a lot of things? And that really comes down to your time. Are you working full time? Are you working part time? Do you have obligations? Are you a mom, et cetera? How much time do you have to really building in your business? So we do cover all of this actually in our free masterclass next week. So I'll put the link again in the chat for everyone to sign up, because we do cover startup costs, because I know that's like the number one thing a lot of people are wondering. And in my opinion, it's one of the biggest mistakes designers make. And the reasons that they fail is because they run out of money. So really, really important that you do spend your money in the right places from the beginning so you don't run out of money and not be able to achieve your dreams.
Yeah, that's great. I would definitely suggest everybody go to Christine's website, Boaz's website, and Randy's websites to sign up so that you can get on their list where they'll be able to send you tips and webinars and free guides, but they also offer services and coaching for when you're really ready to start launching the brand. Randy, you're on both sides of this with helping designers launch a brand, and you're also launching your own brand. Can you give us like some insight of being on that side of it as far as the financial investment that you had to make, and if you saw it differently when you started launching your own brand?
Well, I think it's, I don't know how to answer that.
Did you feel like because you've been the consultant side, you were very well prepared for what happened, or
Yeah.
did anything surprise you?
Yes, I mean, having been in the industry for over 3 decades already, I kind of know what's what. So I knew what I was in for. So there was no surprises. But having said that, there's always surprises, and there's always things that you think are going to be easy, and things that you think are going to be simple, and then they're just not. And they end up taking a lot longer. Could be just a zipper holding you up for 2 months waiting for it to come in. So it depends on, the very specific aspects of your collection and of your product, and what it entails. I mean, I think both Boaz and Christine said everything as far as the budgeting and what the different pieces of what encompasses putting a collection and a business together. I can't add anything more. They both said it beautifully. But it's more, I had no surprises because I knew what I was getting myself in for, and I experience it every day, both with my clients and on my own. So it's, that's our business.
Well, I would like to end this by talking really quick about the marketing side. I know, Keisha, you have a question specifically about Facebook ads. Kimberly, you've been in the business for a while selling as a designer. And then Dale actually works, with, on the advertising side with putting together the models and working with the photographers in order to get the beautiful photography that you need in order to sell. So, and I know Christine does a lot of work like this too. Kimberly, can you tell us a little bit about your experience marketing your brand over the years?
So, I mean, what that entails now compared to what was pre-COVID are two completely different things. So what I would definitely say is, just kind of going back to some of the last comments, I too thought I was completely prepared for everything and anything that could have come my way. And then March 13th hit, so to speak, in New York City. So right now, I think it's very important as far as marketing to get a really good grasp on what the needs are and to be digitally savvy and to be able to do a lot of things in-house or create partnerships and collaborations where you're cross-promoting different brands that have, very similar looks and feels, or working with other people in photography or in film that are also willing to, especially if you're a startup, work with you on like a per diem basis or per project. But marketing has definitely taken a big turn. I mean, back in the day, it was all about print. Now we're working with a lot of social media, and really trying to see, where that's going to bring us. Luxury is a little different. I've actually read some amazing articles, if anyone wants to read them, about where marketing in luxury is going right now, definitely message me. I'm happy to send you the links. Many of them were put out recently by Forbes, and some of the big luxury goods companies, including Bottega Veneta, just pulled off all forms of social media right now, and is really creating kind of more of a word of mouth vibe. So it really depends on where your brand needs to go. Obviously, big brands can do that because they have years. They have years under their belts. So definitely figure out who your target market is, and what your goals are with marketing.
Okay. And Christine, do you want to speak to Facebook advertising for Keisha? Keisha, do you have a specific question about Facebook advertising?
I guess it was more like general, and Christine seemed to answer it. I don't know if she wants to go more in detail, but sometimes I get these ads, and I may spend like a little bit of money, and I'm like, is it worth me spending like say $100 or $200 for this Facebook ad, and am I going to see that in return in sales? So I guess I'm just always iffy. I'm like, is this gonna work? Is it not? So I guess that's my main question.
So yeah, I definitely think Facebook ads can be a really good outlet. Don't forget about Google Shopping ads. Sometimes Google Shopping can be more effective than Facebook ads, depending. But you want to keep in mind that Facebook ads are really, really difficult. I don't recommend doing them yourself. I recommend hiring a professional expert to do them for you, because there's so many intricacies. And actually, there's a lot of things changing this year with Facebook ads that's going to throw everything off for every Facebook ads marketer. So the things are changing all the time. I used to teach my clients how to do Facebook ads. Now we do it in-house. We have our own Facebook ads team that does Facebook ads, social media ads, Instagram ads, Google ads for all of our clients. And it can be very effective. We're getting our clients anywhere from 2.5 to 3 times return on ad spend. But I do recommend you have a minimum budget of at least $500 a month to get started with ads. And then of course there's the management fees on top of that. So you do have to have kind of a little bit of chunk to get started. But literally, we just had a client 3x her sales in only 2 months. So yes, it costs money, but you're going to make money in return.
Exactly.
So it can be a really effective way.
And
That's
working
awesome.
with a consultant who, like Christine, who really understands how to, implement digital marketing will save you money in the long term because you won't be making mistakes on the front end. And same with Boaz and Randy. I really highly recommend that. We're running over. Just 2 more things. Tamika, I want to ask Dale a question, but I want you to have the last word, because since you have the finance background, I would love for you to give everybody a little pep talk on the way out on how to financially prepare for growing their business. But Dale, you and I are always talking on these webinars about how important it is to have great photography, which means you have to have a great photographer and you have to have great models. So can you speak to, once the designers, they have their samples made, they're going to be building their website, getting their marketing campaign up. Can you just tell us how, what a modeling agency can do to help them get the content they need in order to sell?
Sure, absolutely. It depends what stage the company is in and how much they know about their target market. We try to help in as much detail as we can. Many of our clients come to us knowing exactly what they want and just give us a list, like, I want a model that looks like this, has this following, this much engagement, and we just have to put the pieces together. But there are some smaller designers and that aren't as experienced, and we'll put either a professional team together or work in-house with them to try and figure out where they've been, where they are now, where they're going, and give options. And what I feel, we discussed it on another panel about being authentic to the brand, because when you hire models, it's not just a picture now, getting a pretty picture. You absolutely have to have good photography, but videos are huge. And every day, we need to contact models because many of them are home now. They have studios in their house, and you've got to get the professional looking videos and capture personalities and have followings that are true to what your brand is also. So you really need to be aligned. And as far as what Melissa said and Christine said about hiring the pros, I fully agree, because algorithms and everything change every day, and to keep up the money that you'll spend and the costly mistakes that you could make, that is something, unfortunately, these days you have to save for and put it into the plan.
Absolutely. So Tamika, do you have any words of wisdom with someone with a financial background to help everybody prepare for launching their brand?
Okay. Well, everything that the panelists said, you guys gave excellent advice in terms of budgeting. That word needs to become a part of your vocabulary. Budget, 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 and then budget some more, because a lot of people, we really do underestimate that. But even with budgeting, you have to start treating your business like it is a business. And so many people fail to do so. So you have to take the steps of getting your LLCs in place and start corporations and whatnot, start copywriting with designers and, you know, even prints and what have you. If you can't afford to copyright, they have what they call the poor man's patent, where you make copies of those designs, and then you send it to yourself in the mail, and you hold it and don't open it. You can get it notarized at your local bank, you know, and you preserve that, never opening it until you are able to afford your actual copywriting. But these are things to protect yourself. And even with the ads, when you start running Facebook ads and what have you, you know, those are all tax write-offs as well. You know, so you're establishing your business, and until, you know, you did the Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever you're using, your marketing ads, you need to file that on your taxes, because guess what? That's part of your business. That's your brand.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Tamika. Okay, so everybody who's on this panel are Fashion Mingle members. And so if you are a Fashion Mingle member, you can actually log in and go to the message center and send them a message if you'd like to contact with them directly. I know, I think almost everybody put their email in the chat. So if you can still find that, grab that. And also, if you have lost in the chat the websites of Boaz, Randy, and Christine, you know, you can find those on Fashion Mingle as well in the directory. Next Friday, we start our 2021 Mastermind series, and we have a storytelling coach, which I think would be a really great, anybody who wants to launch a brand or has launched a brand, they really need to be able to tell their story. And I think that starting off this year, getting that right would be a really important thing for all of us, no matter what our business is. So thanks to Kimberly and Keisha and Tamika and Dale for coming in and being a part of the conversation. And thank you to our production experts, Randy, Boaz, and Christine. We really appreciate you sharing all your knowledge. And please make sure to sign up on their websites so that you can continue to get that knowledge and help you grow your business. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.